If you've been considering a career as a full-time artist, or if you're wondering if this is even a real possibility, I made today's video for you. My name is Halley. I am an artist here in Atlanta, Georgia, and I just wanted to take a little time today to sit down and share my journey with you. I know a lot of times what we see on Instagram, YouTube, whatever, it can be kind of like the romanticized version of being an artist, and I thought that it might be helpful or help somebody else to just share my real life experience. This is going to be a little bit more of a chatty video, so maybe it would be nice to watch it while you're doing something else. Maybe you're getting ready, maybe you're working on your artwork yourself. If you're even considering being an artist, which I'm sure if you're watching this video, you probably are, please do it. Please do not deny yourself what it is that you want to do most with your life. Life is short, do the thing that you love. My story begins, I guess, when I was in college. I did get my degree in painting, but after I graduated, I put down my paintbrush for almost 10 years. And I don't want you to make that same mistake that I did. Of course, things were really different back then. There was a big part of me that just felt like not good enough. Not to mention that the only real way to be a successful artist at that point in time was basically to prepare a portfolio, submit it to galleries, and kind of just wait, in hopes of being chosen, or be really good at rubbing shoulders with the right type of people. Of course, things are really different today. If you're an artist right now, you are living in the golden era. I really think that there's never been a better time to pursue this as a living and be ultra successful. Back to my story. After I took my 10-year hiatus, waiting tables and bartending, I became pregnant, with my first child, my daughter. And I was working at a bar at the time in a hotel. And I remember I went into work one day and I told the other bartender, I said, I'm going to be a jewelry designer. I'm going to make jewelry. And I'm going to make a business out of it. And he looked at me like I was crazy. And he just kind of blew it off like, okay, girl, whatever, But I did. The next day I signed up for some classes and I jumped fully into this craft of making and designing jewelry by hand and selling on Etsy and at artist markets. And for a good 5 or 6 years, you guys, I was really successful doing that. So that is where my kind of full-time art journey begins, is with my jewelry making. 4 years in, my daughter was about 4 years old when I picked up this book called The Artist Way. I'm sure you've heard of it. It can be life-changing, okay? It changed my life for sure. After I read it, that's when I realized that I'm not really a jeweler, and I was hiding from who I wanted to be, which was Halley Dawn the painter. I've always been a painter in my heart. This is what has given me the most joy since childhood. This is the dream I've always had, and I was denying myself of it because I didn't think that it was realistic. Maybe that's part of why I'm making this video today, is because if you're feeling the same way, I want to inspire you. I want you to know that it is realistic and you can do it. So at this point in time, I'm still making jewelry, of course, and I have a daughter to take care of now, so I couldn't just stop doing that right away. I kind of jumped back into painting a little bit slowly. After she would go to bed, I would get a canvas out and some paint and just start messing around with stuff, and it felt so good. After a couple years of doing things like that, I realized that I didn't want to run myself so thin anymore. It was already hard enough running a full-time jewelry business and being a single parent. And now I'm trying to paint also in the evenings. And I was like, you know what? If I'm going to make a business doing something creative, if I could go in there and tell, his name was Joe, if I could tell Joe, like, I'm going to be a jeweler, why not? Why can't I do the same thing right now and just proclaim, I'm going to be a painter, I'm an artist, and I'm going to sell my paintings? So that's basically what I did. So it was like 5 or 6 years ago now that I really decided to just take the plunge and just go full-time with painting. I did kind of wholesale out all of the jewelry products that I had accumulated to that time, as well as all of my supplies, and I really just went all in. This is not a method that I am necessarily encouraging you to take. It can be risky for sure. That's just the way that I operate and the way that I do things, and it's who I am. So I had already had a bit of experience doing like artist markets and art festivals and that type of thing. So when I initially started my painting business, I started it the same way. I built up a body of work and I took it to the local art festivals. And like I said, I just really started building up my following in person. When I first started, I was really into this kind of spiritual work with a lot of flowers in it. The first painting that I really felt like I was onto something and I kind of had tapped into a style. I guess my first style, I did this big picture of a woman in a yoga pose with all of these flowers in the background. It was really, really, really detailed. It did get me a little bit of traction on Instagram, and I sold that painting pretty quickly to someone on Instagram for I think like $1,000, which the amount of time that I spent on it, it should have been way more than that. That being said, that's a bit of advice that I do have for any artists who are starting out. Don't be afraid in the beginning to price your work a little bit lower than maybe what it's actually worth or what you believe it's worth. And the reason why is because when you're first starting out, just getting it out there is going to give you so much energy and inspiration that it will keep the momentum going to keep going and creating more and to try new things. And the truth is, you really don't need all of these early paintings stacking up in your room, your studio, whatever. Like, make it and get it out there is my advice. That was how I kind of built my business. Honestly, it was a lot of stuff that I was selling for way, way cheaper than I probably could have gotten for it. But like I said, I was just happy to be getting it out there. And I was happy for the feedback and the connections. Like, honestly, to this day, I can say that this is the best part about what I do, is that when you love what you do, you're going to connect with other people who love what you do naturally. And like, chances are these are going to be people that you just have a lot in common with. They're really cool people. And I would say that that is the number one reason that I'm so happy to be able to do what I love, is because of the connections that I've made. I definitely cherish that. After I kind of did a lot of the really floral stuff, I did a couple like leafy botanical paintings. And when I did that, I felt like I had just tapped into something else. It really felt like work that had a meaning to me and that was important to me, which is why to this day, that's kind of still the body that I'm working on currently. And the advice that I would give you in developing your own style is just to try different things. And like, when you know, the only way that you can really develop your style as a painter is to just keep painting and try different things. And the more you paint, the more experience you have, the more ideas come naturally. You can't run out of creativity. The more you use, the more you have. Now let's talk about finances. This is kind of the mystery area, like I said, that I think a lot of people don't share a whole lot about. For me, like I mentioned, I did do things a little bit backwards, and I really jumped into the business of selling the art first. I see a lot of people building their social platforms first and starting to make a living or making money off of AdSense and revenue from sponsorships and different things like that before they're really selling as much of their art. And I think that that's great. Honestly, I think that it's a wonderful thing that we have so many different streams of income that artists can make currently, and definitely I encourage you to take advantage of that. That's part of the reason why I'm on here even right now. I'm trying to diversify my streams of income as well. One thing that I will say is, if this is a career that you are considering, you do have to get either really good at budgeting or be willing to pick up part-time jobs here and there. I've done nannying, Uber Eats, different things like that during my slow periods. Definitely, I think that the biggest challenge is getting that steady stream of income coming in. It's something that I'm still working towards. And that being said, I hope that this video was helpful. If you feel inspired, please check out my website, check out my art, and please, like I said, subscribe. I'm so anxious to share more about the art making process and my process, and like also to make some tutorials hopefully soon in the future. And that's all. Thanks so much for watching all the way to the end, and have a great day.